What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Emotions. Now, as you can see, we've decided to change things up a little bit today, and we're actually up on the rooftop at the building that we film with, and here with this lovely gentleman again.
So obviously it's your boy Alistair Kumi, diabetes specialist, dietitian, and Slough's very own. I'm back again, with my boy Theo Angus, and today we're on the Mind Emotions podcast, and we're going to be getting into the technicalities, of like the overlap between diet and mental health, and just speaking about mental health, especially for men in general. I'm looking forward to sort of seeing what we discuss today, and hopefully we all leave with some gems.
100%, bro. Now again, thank you for coming through today. Big shout out to our co-host Hali, who's not here today, unfortunately, but nevertheless, we're still going to get into these talking points. And quick disclaimer before we jump in: if anyone hears some crazy sounds or some loud sounds, bear with us, because we're actually up on the rooftop, and the sounds of nature.
Listen, Slough's very first skyline, like the Future Works building. Yeah, man. It's beautiful up here.
Yeah, it's nice, man. It's 100%.
Gentrification ain't all bad, is it?
Nah, 100%. There's some pros. There's some good bits. But yeah, man. So essentially, what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring Alistair on here, particularly because, and as a featured guest, because I think this platform is as important as it is about awareness and spreading awareness of mental health. I think it's also key that we bring individuals on that can actually highlight some of the ways that we can understand it better and find ways to link and connect it to other forms of life, and diet and nutrition is another one of those things. And it kind of triggered in my mind when we had our previous conversation on After You, and that's why I wanted to bring him on here on Mind Emotions, because there's a lot of things that we briefly spoke about that correlate and directly relate to mental health when it comes to your diet and your nutrition. So I've been able to benefit from those things just kind of by design from being an athlete growing up. So eating well, understanding about complex foods, and just understanding needing those things is because what's going to give you that detail. They're going to give you that extra 1%, to overcome on match day or whenever competition day is for you. But I wanted to get you on specifically to talk about some of the actual dietary things and how that diet can actually relate to your mental health, and if there's any particular foods and things like that. So we'll get into a few things, but starting off, essentially, what would you say are a few things diet-wise or even nutrition that kind of relate to mental health?
So that's the thing, because obviously diet is a part of your everyday life, your everyday routine. So in your case, you really benefited from that regime almost, and routine as a youngster, where you were forming all of your habits and establishing what your routine was going to be like for the rest of your life. So obviously you were setting the foundations for things that you would eventually fall back on. So obviously as an athlete, you knew that your nutrition was there to help you to perform. So you wanted to be getting the best possible nutrients, you wanted to be staying away from refined carbs, which make you burn out really quickly. You wanted to be staying away from greasy fats, because you knew that was going to make you put on excess weight and put fat in areas, slow you down on the pitch, pull off your coordination, all of those sort of things. So that's something you really benefited from. And then obviously we think about the rest of the world, for everyone else, it's depending on what sort of food culture you came from, that is going to have a huge bearing on what you fall back on, especially during times of sort of stress, or times where you don't have the time to refine your routine, in that sort of respect.
You're kind of caught in between two places where you're trying to get somewhere new, or going through some tough times.
That's it. Or even moving house. Even moving house. So I'll give you a really good example. So growing up, I remember our first house move. So we moved from from Britwell. So we were just down by sort of Pevensey Road, that sort of like Teesdale area, and like we were moving to Wexham. So this is when I was about sort of 6 years old or so. And it's like one of the things I remember about like that moving period was just stacks, boxes of pizza. So you know, obviously I've done a fair bit of moving in my time, like sort of moving up to like the Midlands, moving to Chelmsford before I got married, like moving to Reading now, you know what I mean? And you know, one of those things that always comes, you know, that I just associate with a move, them box stacks or them stacked boxes of pizza. You know what I mean?
Pizza places must make so much money when it comes to like people moving homes.
That's it.
Because people are always moving. And you know, renting new homes, buying new homes. So you can imagine like that period of time is very stressful.
That's it.
Like moving everything into place. So I can imagine, like takeaway becomes
of course, like especially
an option.
Especially if you haven't got like a cooker set up just yet, or you haven't got your microwave and that just yet. You know what I mean? Like pizza takeaways, it comes in great. But the problem comes when, because for me, obviously being a dietitian, I know that I can't do that, you know, continuously, because I know that obviously eating pizza every day, as brilliant and as tasty as it is, you know, it's not giving me the complete set of nutrients I need. After a while of having takeaway, you're going to start running into some micronutrient deficiencies, so you're going to be missing out on like those vital vitamins and minerals that you get from like fruits, vegetables, like, you know, like iron, nuts, calcium, grains, magnesium, selenium. All of those minerals are fantastic for mental health. You know what I mean? So and then obviously you're going to be missing out on your vitamins as well, so it's things like vitamin B, you know what I mean, like which are there for neuroregulation, regulating mood, even regulating appetite to a degree as well, you know what I mean? So all of those things are there, and obviously with those sort of takeaway foods and other things like that, like sweets and sugary drinks, you're just missing out on all of those vital nutrients. And what we're seeing now, like, you know, in that sort of overlap between sort of like nutritional science and even mental health and psychology, is that they almost feed into one another. So when you have like that sort of poor nutrition, you know, and say you've been missing out on iron, you know, from, I was pointing to this like green leafy veg, you know? You know what I mean? But like green leafy veg that contain contain loads of iron, like broccoli contains loads of iron, you know what I mean? And then obviously, you know, like meats contain iron as well, eggs contain iron. But when you start missing out on like on that iron, obviously those iron levels start to dip a little bit, and your iron carriers start to dip too. When that happens, you start feeling a little more tired, a little more, and you're more likely to fatigue as well when you exert yourself a little bit. And when you're feeling tired and fatigued, what happens to your mood?
Dips, goes down.
Mood dips,
or sometimes fluctuates. So you could be like really happy for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes,
and you just can't sustain it. So that's where like diet is now sort of feeding into, you know, your ability to regulate your mood and like and just like your regular neurofunctions, just even being able to concentrate. And then obviously think about like the mental impact of not being able to hold concentration, feeling tired all the time, not really being able to exercise. That starts to, it's like almost like a hammer, like hitting a nail, like, and that nail is like your mental health being knocked into the ground. It's a good analogy way to look at it. You know what I mean? So like that's where like diet can really feed into that sort of particular picture. So obviously, like, you know, one of the things I always advise people, like, I'm always telling people, like, you know, the reason why greens are so essential is because actually they can be so beautiful for mental health. You know what I mean? Sustaining your energy, keeping iron levels nice and stable, you know what I mean? And then having like vegetables that contain vitamin C, like red peppers, like they contain more vitamin C than an orange, you know what I mean? So you know, like you've had like that red pepper like inside of a spinach salad, boom, you've got the vitamin C in there to help you absorb the iron from the spinach. Bang, you have a nice filling dish that's obviously going to keep you nice and full, lower in calories. It's just great for the mental health, and like you feel refreshed after eating it because it's got a lot of water in it. So obviously, when it comes to mental health as well, like I'm just giving out all the quick fire tips today.
This is good,
But like when it comes to like mental health as well, dehydration can really, really, really influence the whole picture. Shout out to Heathrow Airport. You know what I mean?
Down the road. I told you there's going to be some sounds. Like,
that's what happens, you know, over on the skyline.
You've got to overcome it.
That's it. But yeah, like, you know, just staying hydrated on like water-based, sugar-free fluids is absolutely brilliant. man, for just being able to keep your mind engaged. Like, you know, it's so crazy how even a tiny bit of dehydration, like when you're feeling thirsty, often that's too late. Often that's too late. Like you're already like really dehydrated. So you know, you just want to be topping up with them fluids just to obviously keep those concentration levels going. And also, like, it can just help with like ebbing away like those feelings of like, you know, feeling down, like depressed, things like that. Sometimes just a little bit of water goes a long way. So that's me simplifying it, but think about if that was your routine day by day. You're getting your green leafy vegetables, you're getting vitamins, you're getting minerals, you're getting water, like the kind of mind you'll have, like you're giving your mind all the conditions it needs, so you can rule out what could be a micronutrient deficiency. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I mean, like, what I'm kind of really getting from you is that it's not necessarily a selection issue, because I feel like a lot of people out there, they've got a fairly good understanding of what foods they should and shouldn't be eating. I think there's more than enough information out there now with you know, blogs, YouTubers, platforms. There's like cooking shows. There's so much. There's endless amounts of info. But like you said as well, you pointed out about the food culture and how you'll fall back into what's comfortable for you or what you can maybe grow up eating.
That's it.
Speaking from personal experience as a Caribbean, you know, we have a lot of rich fried foods. Deep fried meats.
Africans too, man.
Africans as well. We're very much the same in that aspect. It's just slightly different in terms of the end finish, like the finished result. But yeah, you know, it's essentially the same thing. It's our foods are high carb. You know, but not necessarily complex carb, like multi-grains, and you don't tend to see a lot of outside of like Ital Rastafarian cooking. You don't tend to see a lot of beans, pulses, nuts, grains, fruits, vegetables incorporated in their regular diet. So what happens is it becomes like you'll pick out a healthy dish once in a while, or throw in some greens on the plate once in a while, and you're constantly, it's the same thing with cravings, isn't it? It's just like you get more attached to the things that taste a little sweeter, taste a little nicer, but I think it becomes a thing where you have to kind of like reverse engineer it.
100%.
And that's kind of what, you know, people, my dad definitely started doing, and certain people in my family.
Shout out to Theo's dad. On a real, the original Mr. Angus. On a real.
Yeah, man. He's one of the individuals, and then some other members of my family. Who have given me ideas of how to make healthy food taste good, and I think that's because I needed it growing up. As an athlete, they always saw me doing football, so there was always unique recipes of, oh, try this, and you know, have him try these pastas with this, and you know, it's always experimenting to get to the point where, you know, I have a wide range of knowledge of food, and I think that's a big problem as well. So kind of like two things, as I said, the one about the essence of the food culture. That's huge. Essentially, you know, the food culture, where you come from geographically in the world, religions, races, that plays into it. That's going to kind of really play into, I think, your eating habits and things that when you are having a downtime, or you're feeling a bit stressed or a bit down, that's when you fall back on those things. So I think that's the key time to really pay attention to, because then you can start to reverse engineer some of the options. And then number two, I would suggest and throw in there, and you can add to this, is try to reverse engineer the foods that you essentially don't like, and then try to trick yourself into enjoying them. Like I used to hate Brussels sprouts.
Oh yeah, great example. We all hated Brussels sprouts. We all hated them. But like, I swear, like there was even like an ad campaign. You know what I mean? Like back in the
they've done so many ads to like try and get people to eat Brussels, and it's like they still are
Brussels,
only really
broccoli. Remember sweet corn and the green giant adverts,
giant.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, eat those, and obviously
and then the carrots will make it. You see in the dark. Do you remember that? Carrots will help you see in the dark, and certain things. And it's just like, it's playful. It's a little bit dishonest. But you know, it's but it's a good intention. And if you're gonna go on, grab that. That plant is destroying me, my man. I feel bad.
Do you know? Am I getting like loads of like barley bits?
Little bits. I'm probably sure I probably got a few. Yeah, there you go.
We good. You probably got some yourself.
I probably got some too. It's all good, right? In nature. Anyway, like I definitely find that like it's about discovery of options overall. So the more you can understand, just like a palette, like a painter, a painter has to understand a wide range of colors, and not just colors, the tints, the shades, and the nuances of how you mix certain colors together to expand your palette. Same with food. And I think that most people, they grow up, like we talked about, with that food culture, very limited understanding of knowledge of what to eat, and then they end up struggling because now they're like, their fallbacks are only these few options.
And you know what, the hard thing about it is the fact that at this point in time, while we're all healthy, we're all strong, and we have options, you know what I mean, it's a beautiful thing to have options, you know what I mean, and to be able to dive into certain things. Once certain health challenges start coming along, it can limit your options of what you can and cannot eat for just for the sake of health. So obviously, while we're all healthy and strong, definitely let's take advantage of those options. So going back to what you said as well about re-engineering, interesting mental health fact. It takes 21 days, just 21 days. To change your taste buds around. So if you're used to a very fatty and salty sort of palate, right? So fatty and salty, let's talk about, like, you know, just like any chicken shop chickens. I'm not going to name any specific chicken shops. I'm not trying to demonize them. You know, like even I ate at we ate at the chicken shop, you know what I mean, when we were in Herschel, every like lunch break, that's where we'd go. But you know, if you're used to that kind of palate, it can be hard, you know what I mean, to come away from those saltier or sort of fattier or sweeter tastes. But if you persevere 21 days, your taste buds actually like reformulate, like, you know, so you get a changeover, and then you get used to being able to eat other kinds of things. If you can survive 21 days, then now you've got, and now you can broaden your palate. Now, while you're broadening your palate, you need to survive 12 weeks or 90 days. If you can get to 90 days, you would have created a completely new lifestyle for yourself. In fact, not just created, locked it in. That can become your new way of life. You know. But obviously, and after that stage, it's just a matter of persevering so that it can become your fallback. You know what I mean? So it just takes 90 days to create a completely new fallback. And that seems like quite a long period of time, but that's at the end of the day, it's all about taking it one day at a time and making it to day 21 first. You know what I mean? Like, you know, 3 weeks.
Milestones.
That's it. That's it. And it could just be a matter of just bringing in like one sort of like
addition
food
or change
or thing that you liked before that you weren't getting enough of. So I always tell people, like, you know, when it comes to picking new veg, like, everyone has one vegetable like that they can tolerate. You know what I mean? Put it in everything. If you're gonna have a lasagna, you know, and you like carrots, chop some carrot, put it in there, hide it in there. That's it. It's done. Now you're getting carrots in as part of your regular day to day, and look, you're getting all that extra vitamin A, you're getting all that extra fiber. You know what I mean? You're getting those extra B vitamins. Why not enjoy it? You know what I mean?
No, I like that. I mean, like you said, it expanding of the knowledge, right? That's why I thought it was really good to have you come on here, man, because I think not enough of us kind of get the, you know, the real scientific or even just the, you know, the educated information when it comes to, you know, how we should be preparing our foods, how we should be eating, and you know, we kind of briefly talked about this on the pod. We talked about how like certain different cultural groups and how certain foods are different, but it's really interesting to hear that, like, you know, 21 days and, you know, the period of time, because it seems anything in life, it's always about developing it into your routine or your lifestyle in order to gain the most out of it. That's it. The days of looking for shortcuts almost kind of disappearing to a degree, because now
people are clocking.
It's more the answers are out as well.
That's it.
Before, when you could kind of, the information wasn't like en masse and you couldn't just click online and find it. I think it was a bit more like, you know, those guys kind of can sneak around that corner and then you can kind of cut this corner. But I think now with, you know, information at our fingertips, it's now really incumbent upon us to really now search out there and find out what diet works for you, and each body type is different. It's about fitting it into your lifestyle. That's it. It's about understanding, do I want to cook 5 days a week, or do I want to have something prepared for me? And if it's going to be prepared for me, who's preparing it, what ingredients they're using. I think it's about more the layers. I think as we stepped away from handling our food, you know, hunter-gatherer times, I think that's where things started to go downhill a bit, because it's like now we just go to the supermarket, grab that, it's all packaged, it's all prepared, it's all cut for us, and we don't have to see the process that goes into it. And I think that links to your mental side as well. It just the lack of understanding how our food gets made, and then we're just gorging on it because it's sweet, it tastes sweet or salty, and
never really giving like our gut like a break. So obviously, you know, you've got that, and then also you've got like those external factors, like we live in what we call like an obesogenic environment, you know, so where like everyone's advertising, come and eat this, like, you know, like, well, you know, my missus was watching Love Island yesterday. You know, you take a look on the sort of like ITV adverts, and they're like advertising for Just Eat. So now it's not even a case of like getting out of your house and walking to go and get like a cheeky KFC or cheeky Nando's or whatever. It's like now you just have to, you just press a few buttons and that's it, you know, and it's coming straight to you. You don't even have to do nothing. So it's like just sort of thinking about the fact that like the environment is constantly speaking to you about food, but not just food in the fuel or nutrition sense, like food in the actual sort of like dopamine inducing sense. So it's high pleasure, like almost like high reward experience food. You know what I mean? Like, and that also keys into mental health too, because think about it this way, like if that's what you're used to, and then, you know, like maybe you want to shed a few pounds, maybe you want to like actually boost your performance when you're in the gym, maybe you just want to feel more awake and like alert in life. You know, it's like when you start having like, you know, a regular sort of home cooked diet, as you're eating that food or as you're making it, it's like those reward senses in your brain are not being like activated or triggered. You know, you're not really getting the dopamine, you know what I mean, from it, because it's like, well, but obviously when I press a few buttons and that, you know, KFC Zinger burger, I need to stop saying this stuff, but you know, when I press a few buttons and like, you know, you can tell what I've been eating, you know what I mean? And like, so good. You know what I mean, and like them burgers come through, like you take that first bite and instantly the reward senses in your brain are going off. Like it is a very pleasurable experience. But the thing is, you can actually rewire your brain too. Like you can actually rewire your brain to enjoy, you know, like those sort of home cooked natural foods as well. You know what I mean? Because actually, if you think about like dopamine, so obviously like, you know, there are some sort of neuroscientists who did research on it, and obviously they were saying that when it comes to dopamine, so I'm not sure of the exact process, but it comes as the reward has been implemented into your life. So if you think about, imagine doing meal prep, you know what I mean, when you finish meal prepping, there's that dopamine released, and it's released in the right levels because you completed something. You did that for you cooked for the whole week. There's foods you can eat now. You don't even have to be in the kitchen until next week because you prepped. You know what I mean? So when you eat that food, it's even more rewarding to you. It's even more rewarding just because you're like, wow, like I did this for me. I did this for health, and you're more likely to continue with it as well. But when you're doing like that sort of like, you know, sort of day by day sort of cooking and stuff, like it can be a bit of a hard graft. So you require a lot more, like, let's just say, motivation to do that. So what I advise people who are like making changes, like, you know, it's not even just diet, it's like to your lifestyle in general. You have to put like some, obviously you have a large goal in place. I want to maybe learn how to play the piano. Maybe I want to be fitter. I want to look lean. You have to be realistic about your goals. You know what I mean? Like anyone who gets in the gym, you know, like who doesn't have an athletic body type, you and me both know, like it's 2 years before you will see any real gains or result. 2 years. 2 years. Let's be real, everyone. It's about 2 years of consistency. People don't want to hear that. People want that like 90-day solution or 6 weeks or something like that. In 6 weeks, you will notice the changes. You know, or let's just, you'll notice the changes. In about maybe like 12 to 18, other people will start seeing that there are some changes going on.
Yep.
But if you persist, you can lock in those gains like to your whole life in sort of 2 years. So it's all about that sort of long-term goal approach.
Yeah.
The environment and obviously like, you know, social media and media programming, they're trying to, obviously they're very clever. You know, they hire psychologists who make these who help them to, or give them the advice on what to do with the advertising.
Yep.
And the advertising will tell them, you know, we need to really hack into people's psyches.
That's
you
right.
know,
Yep.
if we want people to buy our products, we need to tell them the rewards are now.
That's right.
You can get it now. You can do it now. You can have this now because we need the money now.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But in real life,
Doesn't work.
it's a
like
long-term process. So going back to what you said about hunter-gatherers, these guys, you know, some of them are they've been fasting maybe 3-4 days because there actually isn't any food, no grains, no meat, no nothing.
Yeah.
They've gone out there into the bush or into the forest, you know, like they've seen like that deer, like they've gone to gather those vegetables and things like that. That's a long process.
Yeah.
They got to carry all of that back.
Energy.
Fasted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're not eating while they're out there. Maybe they are. Maybe they're having a few nuts and berries from the trees.
Yeah.
They're coming back to, you know, to the encampment, and that's where all like the cooking and stuff like that goes. And obviously to cook those meats and things like that, it also takes time.
Yeah.
So probably if they've gone at the start of the day, probably won't be until like the end of the day, like the whole day, and maybe they haven't eaten for 3 until they're getting that. So you know, just that like that sense of reward, that sense of accomplishment, like we really did list.
Yeah.
You know, it's a it's a powerful, underrated tool for being able to actually stay on top of mental health. You know?
Yeah, you know, as you're speaking there, it kind of triggered something in my mind, thinking about just kind of the correlation between the food and your general lifestyle. You know, and essentially, I know, and I can speak from experience, that the times that I've been the most disciplined in my eating habits have been the times that I've been disciplined in other areas of life. Just so, like when you mentioned and talking about, you know, the lifestyle of, let's say you go to the gym or you have a goal to, you know, earn this amount of money or get into this company, whatever it may be. There's typically things that you're going to have to do to supplement getting there. It's not just like the
100%.
goal,
Yes.
focus on the goal only.
Yes.
That's the overarching mission.
Yes.
But there are many different side missions that need to be completed along the way, and I think in order to find that fulfillment and that completeness in who you are, I think that they are, like you just mentioned, building blocks. They're pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
So food is one element of it that can connect and relate to your mental health perhaps and your physical health. Then you've got your financial well-being in terms of how you feel on a day-to-day basis. Can you achieve your goals? If you have to cover and pay for certain things in your life, can you fulfill it? And I think it seems to me that if you want to improve, and as we're talking about, you know, food and diet and how that relates to mental health, I think particularly in that case you really have to look outside perhaps of the actual food and the, you know, the diet or nutrition.
Like we call it just zooming out, you know, like zooming out of the picture altogether, like to just see like what is the trajectory of my life, like what journey am I taking myself on, like where am I going with all of this. And then obviously you'll see that food is actually quite a small part, you know, so it's a really small part, but it feeds into that vehicle, which is gonna be, you know, obviously your motivation to get to whatever destination you're on. But in the meantime, it's just enjoying that sort of journey, making the journey as pleasurable for yourself as possible. So like, you know, if you like learn to enjoy eating healthy, having those sort of healthier habits in your life, like it can make a huge difference. So like a good example of like something I'll like advise to my patients as well, who may have been struggling with like relapse into bad patterns and things like that. I'll always tell them, so it's something that you said, actually, I think you must have said it last week. It all starts from the night before, you know what I mean? And with that night before, something as simple as, you know, once it gets to like sort of like maybe 9 or 10, brushing your teeth, you know what I mean? Like taking care of your dental hygiene, like you know, is just one of those things that you can feed into other habits. So, you know, you brush your teeth at night, you know, you're less likely to then go and, you know, like you're thinking it's the end of the day, so you're less likely to go and snack on like chocolate and crisps and other bad things. You're less likely to stay up to watch movies and stuff like that that are gonna, or Netflix that's gonna make you want to eat the chocolates and biscuits and snacks and things
and
like
indulge,
that. You know what I mean? And indulge. You're more likely to wake up earlier, you know what I mean, the next day. And obviously waking up earlier just means that you've got more time for yourself. I think in this like world that we live in now, where everyone's very, very goal orientated, and like there's just so much going on, so many things you could be keying into, it's like there isn't enough time for self, like that time for really meditating and thinking about, oh wait, so who am I in all of this? Where am I in all of this? What am I in all of this? I think having that time to self to really think about those things can help you to set your trajectory. And it's what that could be 5 minutes in your morning. So obviously, like I'm quite a religious guy, so it's one of the ones where if I can get 5 minutes to myself in the morning, that's 5 minutes I'm using for prayer. You know what I mean? Like 5 minutes I'm just using for prayer, just to like take burdens off my mind. You know what I mean? Connect with God and set myself up for like what the priorities are for the day, because sometimes what you think are priorities are not really like priorities. Sometimes it's just busying yourself, you know what I mean? When really like the priorities are your mental wellness. Man, I was having like a Mike Tyson moment.
It happens, man. It happens. 2 words in one word sandwich.
Forming a little bit of a lisp there, but but like sort of like your mental wellness, that is a priority, you know what I mean? It's like, because everything like stems out of where you sit mentally, how you see yourself, how you view yourself, because how you view yourself actually projects out into the world, you know what I mean? So but that's like a personal sort of like opinion of mine, or like just as like we've grown up through life. It's just what I've seen, like the more grounded you feel in yourself, the more of a vision you have for yourself as well, the easier it is to connect with the world around you. So you're not at friction with the world anymore. You're more
you're more in flow. And then
that is the word.
You're in flow with what the universe.
That is the word. You're actually in flow. In flow. And isn't it a beautiful thing, like that our brains are made up of, I think, like 75% water or something like that. You know what I mean? And like just being able to just be in flow. It's just it's a very, very, very positive vibration. I feel like
I agree. I agree, and adding on to that as well, in terms of the mental side of things, and how I believe that there are unique nuances in each individual that kind of like makes up their character. And then we're all conditioned after that by the rest of the world. So you have these small nuances of things that you really enjoy, whether it's the way you like doing things, whether it's how effectively you get things done, whether it's your passions, your creativity, whatever it is. There's this small little area of things that you're just makes you different, makes you special, if you will. But I wouldn't necessarily call it special. I'd just say that if you find another individual, the likelihood is that they're not probably going to side with 100% of the things that you agree with. So that's where I kind of agree with I bring up the idea of the uniqueness. However, that the other side, which is the conditioning of the world and the environment, I think is way more powerful and impactful. So your little small nuance of self is just getting barraged on a day-to-day basis constantly with the conditioning. You should be like this. You should have this much money. You should be in this position in life. Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? All these questions, and a lot of the times they go unanswered, because a lot of the times we never fully answer the question out of fear of feeling like you're stuck in one place. We always want to feel like we're moving forward and we're achieving goals. And I think that sometimes you have to kind of, like you said, sit back and meditate.
So you can just zoom out,
so you can pan out
and just see things on the macro scale, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like everyone has their role and their purpose, like in this life, you know what I mean? And if we don't live up to that purpose, that calling, and we don't play our part, some side of society crumbles somewhere. You know what I mean? Like some side is going to crumble, and it actually has a knock-on effect onto everybody. Because either it means that someone's having to pick up the slack somewhere and almost work out of their calling to make up for that shortcoming. You know, or like people are just being dragged along because in this life, you know, if there aren't like, you know, sort of visionaries and people who are real like doers in this world, like I look at this beautiful building, like the Future Works building, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, if there wasn't, you know, a visionary who decided that, okay, maybe I want to build like, you know, like Slough's first skyline, it just wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be those sort of opportunities, you know, where people can like, you know, move into like the office spaces, like where they can have like, you know, that, you know, those areas for, you know, that sort of, that almost business renaissance, you know what I mean, in Slough. Like, you know, like if we don't like, you know, move into that purpose, it's like people will be waiting for us. Like, people will be left waiting, like and people won't be able to get to where they need to get to because they need you too. Like we all actually need each other. You know what I mean? And exactly. And then like I said, it's kind of like what happens is you're kind of stuck because of the environment and the conditioning, because the conditioning is so powerful sometimes, especially for impressionable minds, that they really buy into certain concepts. So I was going to ask you something, because obviously you spend a lot of time with the youth. Sorry, I keep going on this. You spend a lot of time with the youth. So it's like, with all, because I feel it for them, we did not have the kind of programming that these guys have got. Like, we had TV, but you know, you could turn the TV off. That's right, you know what I mean? These guys is 24/7 on the phones. What like advice would you give to the young people? So like, you know, even because I actually want to learn this as well, because obviously I see quite a few young people as well in practice. So it's just like, what advice do you give to the young people about being able to stay true to self in this, what is a digital age now? Well, yeah, brother, like you say, that is a very difficult one, and I mean, like you said, I talk directly to a lot of these youngsters, and the key is what we try to get across, me and others, is you really have to, like you said, pan back out, and you have to look at things on a step-by-step basis. I think we're being bombarded now by online technology, money, all these different things. So what we tend to advise, or what I definitely advise to youngsters or anyone that I come into contact with, is you first need to identify who you are as an individual, and that can be sometimes a daunting task, because some people have grown up and had rough upbringings. Maybe they don't want to associate with who their actual true self is. Maybe they've been running from certain things, and I think until you actually come to terms with what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and identify, okay, this is what I'm good at, this is where I bring value, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is what I stand for. And once you get all of those things, you can now build a foundation. I think too many youngsters now, like you said, because they are seeing everyone else's life and everyone else's journey before they get to create their own, they just assimilate, and they essentially live vicariously through others. You can do that quite well now online. You can look online, okay, that's my favorite celeb. What did they eat today? I'm gonna eat that for breakfast. What did they have? What they driving? I can't afford that, but I'm gonna get something that looks like it. What the clothes, you look at H&M, you look at all of these brands, small brands, they typically utilize styles that the top end styles use and the top celebrities and dressing, but it's just a cheaper version, so that they can feel connected. And you could say that's a positive, but then what happens is people lose who they are, or they don't even get to find out, because they're so busy following. And I think what's happened is you really have to like pull kids out of it now, in order to give them any information. That's because so true. I'll be honest, like especially young footballers, sport is one of the hardest areas to get through to youngsters. And it's not because they're it's not because they're not smart. It's not because they're not knowledgeable. It's because the mentality it takes to become great at your sport means that you have to develop a very tough and rugged like demeanor. Like I will take nothing except to win type of mentality. And you get that from a young age. So they're pushing into you. You have to be better than your competition. We have to beat the opposition. You have to get there first. You can't lose. So that's being drilled into you, and it's developing character
on one side, it's developing character, it's teaching you, hey, the world isn't easy, you're going to have to overcome things, you're going to have to overcome hurdles. But there's no back end on the other side to actually explain what happens when you are down on the ground and you are having a hard time.
What do you do?
Well, a lot of the times it's just kind of like you overcome just through adversity or pushing through, and it's like you know, strongest wins in a sense, and then the ones who don't kind of get pushed to the side or get moved out of the system.
That generates another sort of like conversation or discussion as well, because obviously like last week was Men's Health Week.
That's right.
So like, and obviously in Men's Health Week, one of the things they were trying to really push was that men's health MOT, and what they were trying to drive through with that men's health MOT was actually men's mental health, you know, as part of like even routine screening, like you know, like I don't know about you, but I don't like. Obviously, we live in a culture now where it's a bit harder to get to the GP, you know, than it was before. You know, before you could walk into the GP surgery, you know what I mean? You knew your GP was. It was your family's GP. You probably took care of your grandparents too. You know what I mean? But like now, it's like obviously GPs are so stretched, like you can hardly even be with the same one all the time. But like when you are in there, like the amount of time they even have to address what they need to address, they can't even get to the question, how are you really? And when it comes to men as well, that's I speak to my wife about this. She has to ask me that question like 5 times. You know what I mean? Like in a row. You know what I mean? So I can really tell her what's going on. Like, how are you? I'm alright, innit?
Yeah.
How are you? Yeah, it's cool. How are you? It's been a tougher day, but do you know what? We move. How are you? Well, actually, like it's actually been a proper tough day, and
such and such.
I'm not feeling too good about this. Like sometimes I just want to lie down, and I just don't want to get up. I want to escape from my problems. You know what I mean? I just want to sleep all day. You know, so like it's that push. You know what I mean? And I feel like as men, we gotta try and do that with each other more. You know, like, how are you? 5 times, you know what I mean, until you get what you're really, really looking for.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Perseverance.
Because the thing is, we're tough because we have to be. Just like how you were saying with like, with your young lads.
Yeah.
Like they have that winner's mentality in them. You know what I mean? It's like when you're trying to win and trying to push through adversity, as a man, you haven't got that time to think about.
Well, you don't want to hear it. Yeah, you don't want to hear it. You're just like no, it's well, I'll shake it off.
Yeah, I'll jog it off.
Literally,
and I'm gonna keep on going. Like, maybe I got clamped. You know what I mean? Like, I took a really hard time. But at the end of the day, I gotta keep on going. You know what I mean? I gotta keep on going because I gotta get that win. And if I can push it off, like for long enough, that physical pain will disappear. You know what I mean? But the thing with mental health and mental scarring is when you've been hurt mentally and emotionally, even if you push it to one side, the pain actually doesn't go anywhere. It just sits there in the deep dredges of your psyche until you actually address it.
Until someone triggers it, or maybe something.
That's it.
That can happen either way.
That's it. Like I've seen a lot of guys walk around like with like short tempers. You know what I mean? Or like who just. It's like it will just.
They're looking for it. Yeah,
they're looking for it.
You can feel the energy. It's just like you say the wrong thing around that person, they're just gonna.
And they're ready to swing. They're literally ready to swing. And the thing is like when you look a bit deeper, you realize that actually it's actually that mentality of I don't want to be taken for a mug ever. Because I've actually been taken for a mug before. I've actually been taken advantage of before.
So I won't allow that.
And I'm not going to tell anyone that ever happened to me. And anyone who tries to look at me a bit funny, I'm going to swing for. No questions asked. Fist first.
It's the defense of the. It's interesting, isn't it? Because like when you think about that, what you're essentially doing with that is that you're using your physical self to handle a mental issue.
Exactly.
And that can't really be a thing, can it?
No.
When you think about it. No. I've just thought about that just now, just sitting and thinking like you going in trying to have a fist fight or get into a physical altercation or scrap or something with someone. 9 times out of 10 it's because you're maybe harbouring or holding something that you haven't handled and then now it spills out somewhere else.
That's it.
So you're trying to take your physical self and deal with a mental issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're trying to use your physical strength, your power, whatever, and deal with something in your mind, and it's like can't really do that.
You can't, and you won't find healing through it either.
Yeah.
You know, so like the only way to heal is actually to address it. Yeah, it's gonna be painful. It's gonna open up a can of worms, of course. But like, obviously, that's why it helps to be in safe spaces. Like, you know, obviously, like, so getting therapy is a big man thing to do. Like, getting therapy is a big man thing to do, and there are so many channels to like actually get that as well. So obviously, waiting lists in the NHS can be a bit long at times. But the thing is, once you're on that list, you're on that list, and when you get called up, you get called up. And as we were saying, with like that mental scarring at times, or like that anxiety, that depression that could be hanging around at that low level. You need, like, you know, like psychological help for psychological issues. You know what I mean? Like, there's no physical thing that you can do. Like, going to the gym more isn't going to heal that, or like, you know, like moving through women isn't going to heal that, or like, you know, eating loads of dopamine releasing food isn't going to heal that.
Buying nice things.
It's not gonna. It's actually just, you know, sort of talking it through and opening up and being able to parcel things away in like the proper format. You know what I mean? Just so once it's put at rest, it's put at rest.
Yeah, now we can.
And the healing like comes as then it comes as you walk. You know what I mean?
I feel you. So then it's kind of like you put the right things in place.
Yeah.
So that you can effectively like. And you can map out and see now. Okay, cool. Like, this is where I need to areas for improvement, areas that I need to address, and they can be changed. That's a good thing as well. Like, to obviously let people know is you know, you don't have to hold anything forever at all. Certain things we inherit. So other people that we don't have a choice in the matter. Sometimes we're just kind of born into certain circumstances. However, we do have choices when we get to a certain point, and then it comes down to what choices are you going to make from that point on. Because I think what we do is we have this like this generalized way of thinking when it comes to our issues. And I think we kind of look at people in our own racial group, and for example, us, let's say, when we was 18, we'd probably relate ourselves to the same struggles most other 18-year-old black men would go through. However, we don't look at the things that they don't have to go through. You know what I'm saying? We always point out the stuff that is just like, look at those things that make you similar in our misery. See, like we're being kept down because of this, and anywhere you go, we're the minority, and we don't have any money. And if you listen to the things we don't have, as opposed to, okay, but look at these guys who have excelled as athletes. Look at these guys who are running a Fortune 500 company. Look at these guys. Like we always do the one-sided approach, and I think that's where the problem really lies. So that was where a lot of my passion built for this platform. For
powerful
Minds Emotions, for After You, storytelling platforms that actually start to document, and now you put down an anchor, so where you can now map from. You know, because I realized even in myself, I had to be honest with myself. Like, what was the content I was creating? What was it doing? I'm creating these amazing things, working with brands, big names, getting money in my account, going on holidays, traveling, and I'm like, oh, this is wicked, this is sick. But then I'm thinking, but what's it for? What's your purpose? What's the service you're selling? You just take nice pictures, that's nice, no one's going to remember that. I was like, I had to listen to a few people say those things, or hear people online kind of like give you the reality from another side. So what I would suggest, and going back to what you talked about, if we're talking to the young people, it's a case of first stepping into understanding who you are, identifying yourself, and you can do that through exploration, trial and error. There's loads of different ways, but really hone in on that, and it may take you 5-10 years of exploration to find out. It took me till the age of 30 till I realized, all right, no, my purpose is storytelling. My purpose is using the medium of cameras and videography in order to take that and then transfer messages to others.
That's it.
That they can now, because they can see an anchor point. You know what I mean? I'm not just out in the atmosphere putting out nonsense. Like, I'm putting down, looking at the market. Okay, what does the market lack? What am I passionate about? How can I plug myself in there? You know, so it's not just I'm passionate, I'm going to go out into the world and people are going to buy, you know, believe me. I think it's being smart about it, recognizing where your value kind of lies, and then saying, okay, where in the market am I needed? And it may be abroad. It may be another country. It may be somewhere else. But you definitely, I think, have to ask those tough questions. And, you know, that's what I've found growing up to this point, and the reason why. So, yeah, leading on to kind of what you've been talking about in this conversation. What's so great about this is bridging those gaps between things that people didn't see before. Us sitting down, we're talking about how diet and nutrition can affect your mental health. It's not necessarily a common correlation. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone talks about lifestyle, how much money you got in your life, what's your relationships looking like. All of that's great, but we often forget about the core important thing that keeps us sustained, which is food. Which is hydration, and how we, you know, that once you get a good routine and develop a good routine of that, now it's almost like you go out feeling in a better mood, feeling more enhanced, to have conversations. And I notice that directly every time I have conversations with people, because my role, my purpose is to connect people. So I have to have a certain positive mood when I interact with people. Imagine if I just ran this podcast and I was like, yeah man, this is cool man, just
I'm not gonna lie,
sit down,
like we've seen some dead podcasts in our time where,
and they'll be like, tell me about your latest thing, man, like, your project, like, tell me about your project, man.
And the host is just
just like jabbing for something controversial or something that's gonna get clicks or views. I'm so far removed from that, because I understand that's like, there's no value in that. There's no value in that. Like, the value in is making the other person who's a guest feel comfortable. So that they can share the actual things they want to share. You know, not feeling uncomfortable, like, I'm just going to say stuff that might make me sound cool on this platform. No.
It's like, it's real stuff, because these are real issues, you know what I mean? And like, these real issues it's actually what people are dying for now. Because obviously we live in an age now where you can curate the content that you just want to put out there, you know, to get those clicks and to get people looking in, and to give people that quick, you know, those quick feelings, you know what I mean?
Dopamine hits and stuff.
Those dopamine hits, and because like we're living in that kind of world where substance is actually being taken away bit by bit by bit. It's like when, you know, sort of platforms like this come around where there is a lot of substance, you know, people are able to plug back into something that's real, you know what I mean, to get like, you know, that real help, that real support, that real advice, and actually listen to real stories from real people who are doing real things, you know what I mean. Because the reality of life is that, you know, I think we're all here long enough to do what we're supposed to do, you know what I mean. Like it really is not a race. Like you were saying that, like, it was at the age of 30 that, you know, you found your place. You know what I mean? You found your passion, you found your purpose, and you went with it full steam ahead. I'm exactly the same. You know, it's like I'm 30 now, and I'm in a position where if anyone asked me, it's like, if you weren't a dietitian, what would you be? I'd tell them again, I'd probably still be a dietitian, because I know that there is a place for me. You know, I know that there's a place for the knowledge I have, and I know that, you know, like my dietary counseling skills are needed for particular people as well. So if I wasn't here, it's like there's a whole subgroup of people that may be missed, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure that, you know, those individuals can get that information they need to translate their nutrition into better health for them. You know, so that is literally my whole angle. So, you know, like, so when people are speaking like that, you know that, oh whoa, like there's passion in them. You know what I mean? Like, they really believe in what they're doing, because you know, they believe it as they see it as their calling. So definitely, like, zooming out and taking that time to like, you know, to obviously find your place, because like we're here, we are both at the age of 30. It's like at the age of 16, before, like, because life was a little bit of a microwave even back then.
It was,
you know what I mean. But like even now it's life is moving quicker from the time when, you know, teenagers are becoming millionaires through YouTube. and Instagram and TikTok, doing a lot of brainless activities. You know what I mean?
Instant gratification.
And then obviously there are others who are chiming into more like up spec things, like you've got these young boys now who are like buying, shifting and selling NFTs, and things like that, and moving into that sort of blockchain space. It's great, like it's a really, really cool thing, but the reality is that's a minute percentage of people that are really
know what they're talking about,
know what they're talking about,
how to do it,
and know how to do it. Like for most people, it's probably not going to pan out that way. So don't look at what those people are doing and think that you've missed anything major, because life is long enough to figure out exactly what it is you are here for. If you can just sit back and like zoom out for a sec and just sort of see how life is going to be plotted. But obviously how that comes to everyone is a completely individual thing, you know what I mean? You're like, there are certain things you have to go through in life before that hustle gene really like wakes up, you know what I mean, and you actually start like working for you. You know what I mean? Like you have to go through some things. So like even me personally, it's like I didn't realize that inside my mind was that spirit of entitlement. You know what I mean? We went to Herschel Grammar School. Like, you know what I mean? We went off to uni.
I know what you mean, bro.
So
I know exactly
like
what you mean.
there is that pressure, almost that environmental push that like you've done these things, so these are the things you're entitled to. You're entitled to a better paid job. You're entitled to an employment of any kind in general. You're entitled to being able to like settle down and buy your house and all that sort of stuff before the age of 30. You know what I mean? But it's not the case.
It's definitely not the case.
No matter where you've been, you got to hustle. No matter where you've been, you actually have to commit to the work, so that you can reap the rewards of that said work. And like when you really believe in that process, things that are supposed to come to you will come to you. And you figure out along the way. I wish I could tell you like, you just gotta do this and this. You're definitely gonna find your purpose. Nah, it doesn't work like that. You have to go through some things to find out what that is. And obviously this sounds very ambiguous, but anyone who's made it anywhere will tell you the same thing, that like there are things you have to go through first, like like when we were speaking the last time about how while we were both in uni, we were working part-time jobs. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like working in the service industry, working in retail, working at restaurants. Like you know what I mean? Like learning how to almost shift out of self a little bit and learn about what it means to be part of a system. And obviously that system yields benefits. There's financial gain to be made. At the end of the day, it helped us to pay our way through uni.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But like ultimately it's like those experiences are very, very, very vital for you being able to elevate to the next level of society, so that you can contribute and just remember what you had to go through to get there, so you can also support people who are still coming through those areas of the system, and give them a very real, open and honest take as to, okay, this is what I had to do to get here. So for me personally, like I was in the restaurant industry. Okay, so would I go back to the restaurant industry? Probably, I probably would. I loved working in the restaurant industry.
That's a nice transition as well too. Like getting to work and see how food is prepared, and like the art of selling food. And then actually going into your dietary, like the science behind it as well. Must have been really, really cool.
So I think I'm paying for my sins now as a diabetes dietitian, because obviously before I was working in like it was like an American restaurant. And like man, burgers, pizzas, pasta, all that sort of beautiful stuff. And I was encouraging, like heavy. I was very sales driven, so I was like, inviting people in, getting them sat down, and like making sure that they bought those high end items on the menu, high end calories, upselling, all that sort of stuff. Just for the enjoyment of it. Like, but the thing I loved the most about the restaurant industry was like actually the social side. Seeing different people come from like different backgrounds, who have different levels of entitlement as well when they come into the restaurant.
Yep.
You know, so obviously before
how they want to be treated.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And actually, you know, learning how to step away from self a little bit, and you know, like, and help people to better understand, like, you know, how the service industry actually works. You know what I mean?
Let me add in real quick because I want to ask you something. When you was working in there, in the restaurant industry, I'm not sure which one you was working at, but what things did you notice when it comes to diet and nutrition that stood out when people would come and eat food? You know,
So,
like, whether it's an age range, male, female, whatever. What did you notice that was just kind of like, raw, like, you this is a bit too much, or you're eating too many consistently, or eating that? Like, what did you notice?
So I'll give you a good example. Like, it's an American restaurant. Okay. You know, obviously I'm not going to name them on the podcast. You know what I mean? Because of that sort of stuff. As a dietitian, I know that the average male, you know, weighs about 70 to 75 kilos. To maintain their weight, you know, probably needs about 1,800 calories a day. Hold on to that number, yeah? In this restaurant I was working in, you know, one of the milkshakes that they served, you know, absolutely creamy and delicious.
Oh, one of those ones.
Yeah,
I know what you're
One of those milkshakes, kid you not, contained about 1,500 calories.
Wow.
So that's like what? Like almost
most of your daily requirement
in one shake. And that's a shake that is coming, like, you know, with like a meal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Doesn't that go to show, like, sorry to cut you real quick, but doesn't that go to show how crazy, like, you have to really discipline yourself today?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When people can provide an item that can damn near fulfill your daily requirements of calories, it's like, we have to be wary of that.
We do,
and we wonder why there's so much an issue with obesity and overweight issues. So, continue, bro.
So, you know, so that's not to demonize, like, the restaurant industry, because obviously, like, restaurants are there to give us food that is pleasurable and also to give us an experience.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the experience of going out, eating, communicating with friends and family, and enjoying high quality food. But the thing is with that food is obviously it's higher in calories, higher in fat, higher in saturated fat, because saturated fat is very tasty to the tongue. Higher in salt, because once again, you want to. It's really encouraging those taste buds to really connect with that food. More. Yeah, that's it. And obviously, with the food being so salty, you're thirstier. You know, when the meal is done, so you're more likely to order a nice
beverage or drink.
Beverage, you know what I mean? And that fizzy beverage is so high in sugar that once again it's making you thirstier, so you're gonna order another. And so
this is a food psychology going on.
The whole chain has been designed so that you can keep on going. And the thing about, like, you know, especially some of those fizzy drinks and things like that is they're made with like a glucose fructose syrup. Okay. And like at a scientific level with fructose, when fructose is sort of ingested and digested, it's not picked up the same way that glucose is. So when you have enough sort of glucose in your system, your body has like this sort of like backdoor system that's like, oh yeah, you've had enough. You've had enough. So let's keep it cool.
And then the pancreas, I'm guessing.
That's it. Pancreas will be producing insulin and keeping those blood sugars steady, and then you get your incretin hormones.
My roommate was a type 2 diabetic. Okay. From college. Shout out my roommate Dylan if he's watching.
Hold tight, Dylan.
But yeah, I learned a lot about that just from knowing how, you know, essentially the pancreas attacks.
That's it.
It's an autoimmune disease, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, when it's developed.
That's it. And then obviously, like, the pancreas is producing all this insulin, and then you have these hormones in your gut, the incretin hormones, basically saying, okay, cool, well, actually, you've had enough, you know, coming in here. Let's cool it down. Let's cool it down. Pie. That's it. Yeah. But with fructose, like fructose syrups, like, especially like you know, high corn fructose syrups and things like that. Yeah. They bypass a lot of those mechanisms that happen, you know, sort of biologically. So what happens is, as you're getting all that extra fructose in, you know, it's like there's no stop. Okay. There's no stop button, so you can keep on going and going and going and going and going. And even the way, like, it's broken down in the body, it's not broken down like a sugar completely. Like it's
so there's leftovers.
There is, and and then because the body doesn't quite know what to do with this high corn fructose syrup, like it just metabolizes it as a fat, so it just sits there in your abdomen, especially the abdomen. And then that's when you start getting, that's why you can get very, very skinny looking people on the outside who develop fatty liver disease, like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, where they have like all this fat, on top of their liver, and they can go on to even develop like insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. Not because the sugary food is causing that, but because the impact it's having on the inside, like as they're getting fattier and fattier livers, all that sort of stuff can go on. So we keep on like drifting into the nutrition side of it all.
No, I get you.
But like coming back to how that all ties into mental health, it's like, if you don't have the knowledge that those sort of foods are doing that, then you have no idea how to organize your weekly schedule. So imagine if you had the financial means, to eat out every day. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you could be eating restaurant food all the time, thinking that it's like, well, I can afford this. I'm doing this to myself. But ultimately, it's like it's taking something away from you. You know what I mean? It's taking something away from you. And obviously, if you have the knowledge, you could do something about it. And it means that also, when you're doing something about it, because you knew not to make that your lifestyle, it was easier to change your lifestyle. You know what I mean? Knowledge gives you more like conditions and tools to help you to change. Because in life, we're always going through change. We're always going through change. And it's all about being able to keep up with those changes by being flexible. You know what I mean? Like I think if you can be flexible in life, with everything, like your diet, it's like with your mental health, like with the way sort of stress ebbs and flows at times, it just gives you more room for a better outlook, and you're less likely to crash. You know what I mean, when those changes are coming.
One more question, bro, before we get to the conclusion of our conversation.
Sure.
What have you noticed? Not what have you noticed? Taking a look at like fine dining restaurants.
Oh yeah.
Let's say, would it be feasible, or is it a healthy way of approaching things if you could afford, like you said about being able to afford to eat out now? I'm not sure what the restaurant was that you were selling at, but let's say we're talking high-end fine dining, supposedly because it's expensive, it's healthy. What's your advice from a health perspective on some of the foods that you may eat on a day-to-day? So let's say I can afford to eat fine dining restaurant food, and it's expensive, so it must be good for me. What would you say to that?
So the thing with fine dining is for those fine dining restaurants to do what they do, the food has to taste amazing. So day-to-day food won't always taste like fine dining food, because it hasn't got as much salt, hasn't got as much saturated fat, so it hasn't got those creamy sort of textures thick, to them, rich sort of things going on. What fine dining is very good at doing is portion sizing. Because they know how rich the food is, it's like the portion sizes are actually quite small. So so people who've been eating at fine dining restaurants, like I actually had a patient who that was his life. He was a businessman who operated between Singapore and the UK. So
he ain't got time to be.
But he was a fairly slim, fairly athletic guy. The main reason why he developed type 2 diabetes was actually because of his, just because of his genetics. You know what I mean? So he had that genetic element, sort of coming in. But for him, it's like, sort of having to advise him that in the long term, having, sort of more like, let's just say home cooked meals is a better move for him, only because you control what goes in there. You know what I mean?
So it comes down to control, really.
It's all about control, because at the end of the day, it's like you can make your foods gourmet at home. If you're experimental enough, it's like everyone had to start from somewhere. Like even when I learned how to cook, you know what I mean, it was just experimenting in the kitchen when I had time. But like it was all about control. It's like it wasn't going to taste like fine dining because I'm not going to use as much salt or as much cream or as much butter. I'm going to pull back on those sort of things, but I do know it's going to be healthy at the end of it. And then you get that sense of reward because you made it. You know what I mean? You made that for yourself or for someone else.
would you say that applies the same to like meal prepping and stuff? Because I know that's really big right now. Like
meal
everyone
prep
like
is huge. Listen, shout out anyone who does meal prep.
Yeah.
Shout out to anyone who does meal prep.
Right.
Meal prep is just a way of life. I think it's the only way to survive in this microwave society we live in now. We haven't got time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We haven't got time. Like, you know,
because I've been considering it lately myself as well. Yeah.
Think about it this way. Me and you, like, you know, we've actually been at work before, like at work. You know, working on like some of our other business stuff and our other work stuff. You know, and we're coming to do this like outside of work.
Yeah.
We're gonna go home now. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know, we would have generated a bit of an appetite because talking is, you know, it's hungry and thirsty work. You know what I mean? It's hungry and thirsty work. So what's at home? What's at home?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is the big question. What is at home? What's there waiting for you? Meal prep just takes all that burden off you. You just spend one Sunday afternoon. You know what I mean? You plan out just simple, easy meals. You know, simple, easy meals. Or holler at people that could do that for you.
Yeah.
In fact, even with like, you know, sort of like the business that I'm running, it's like meal plans is something that, you know, that like I actually generate and create. You know what I mean? Just to help people to just demystify the fact that actually I can eat one on a budget. You know what I mean? In a healthy way, and I can be fed 7 days a week. You know what I mean? And I can meet all of my goals for macronutrients. If I want to gain a bit of muscle in the gym, there's a meal plan for that. If I want to lose a bit of weight, there's a meal plan for that. If I want to maintain my weight, there's a meal plan for that. If I want to eat more cultural dishes, there's a meal plan for that. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm sort of generating that kind of infrastructure so that, you know, it can help demystify that whole area. So meal prep. Because the thing is, if you can, it's all about being able to remove burdens from your life. People don't cook because it is a burden.
It takes time, effort.
It takes time.
Busy schedules.
And if you don't know how to cook, it's even worse. So like because I can cook, and like obviously my wife's gonna watch this and she's gonna be like, huh? Do you cook?
You can cook?
Yeah. But so obviously, shout out to my wife.
Yeah, don't be saying that too.
The reason why I let you do most of the cooking is because you are so good at it, and I'm trying to nurture your gift, my dear. But that's obviously
now smooth.
Yeah. She's you know what I mean? Gotta hold that one still. But But obviously, it's like when it comes to cooking, like I acknowledge the fact that not everyone knows how. So whip out recipe books and just learn simple recipes, like even if it's a simple rice and like a tomato sauce and things like that, you know, with like a bit of meat on the side, do that. If you're like grilling or roasting a chicken breast, do that. Make it as simple for yourself as possible. Get used to having these simple things and then diversify as time goes on. You know what I mean? And then that way, if those things are set, it just means that you can have that flexibility, like once a month. I'm one of those dietitians that actually genuinely believes there's a place for KFC, a place for Cadbury's, a place for milkshakes. Because food is not just for fuel. Like food is actually for enjoyment,
experience, like we talked about. Because it's tied to the mind.
That's
as well.
it. That's it. But it's just knowing how to portion size and portion control those experiences too. Like you know, you can't be hitting up restaurants like 4 or 5 times a week and expect to be in peak
it's not gonna
condition.
happen,
it's not gonna happen. Like like any peak physique comes from your kitchen. So that's what I tell everyone. It comes from your kitchen, like your kitchen specifically, what you do in your kitchen, and that's just gonna set pace for what you're gonna do with like the rest of your diet. Because obviously there's gonna be room for like those little bits there, those little snacks and things like that.
But the balance.
But you want your kitchen to be your mainstay, your foundation for how everything else sort of comes and grows.
I like that.
That's it.
Right. No, that's it's really insightful stuff, man. And I wanted to leave the people with this one thought that I had yesterday. It was from somebody that I was watching, a motivational speaker, and he said that great people don't sell things, they sell themselves.
Wow.
Great things already sell themselves. So essentially, and I really took that to heart, because my thing is all about providing a service. You know, the visual storytelling side of things from the art, even these platforms where we have good conversations with, you know, unique people. You know, great people tend to focus on selling who they are as an individual, and as a byproduct of that, the things that they let you know about become valuable.
Wow.
So do you know what I mean?
I get that.
And I think that goes back to that stuff we was talking about, reverse engineering the mind when it comes to food. I think you can do the same thing with, let's say, a food that you maybe didn't like we talked about with the vegetables. Pick out a vegetable that, you know, you can tolerate. And then somehow alter it, change it, make it taste good. Like cook it or prepare it in a way that you will enjoy, and then add it into your diet. And then just piece by piece, you can still have those fun days. You can still have a cheeky KFC, a kettle King, or whatever your favorite fast food is. But you find that moderation, and then balanced in with what you said at the end there about meal prepping. You know, I think that's going to be big, especially for the gym goers and busy people with busy, active lifestyles. It's good to see that there is a form of new ideas when it comes to food and diet that actually is working. And you know, I definitely have looked into meal prepping, and you know, there's so many pros and cons. So many pros to it overall that outweigh the cons.
100%.
You know what 100%. I mean? So yeah, I definitely think that. Yeah, I just wanted to leave the people with that in terms of you know, if you're out there and you're listening to any of these messages, focus on selling who you are as an individual. Pay attention to each component of your life, whether that's the passion, whether that's your career, whether that's your relationships and the people around you, because they're all important parts that make up your mental mindset, you know, and your mental health. So this is just another part of it. We can never really talk about everything in one conversation, but this is why I think it's great to have this platform where I can bring on, you know, my guy that I've known for a long time, who can give that educated information, and you know, hopefully some of you guys was able to take some of that away today. But don't want to bombard you with too much. I think keeping it quite succinct and focused in and around mental health and food is really what we're here for. And
definitely,
you know, there will be many more, because food is a very large topic, so we can get into we touched on a few of them, like, you know, restaurants, all those sorts of things. So you know, perhaps we can maybe get you back on more consistently with maybe the co-host Hali. She can come through, and then we can maybe get a little deeper into maybe cultural foods and different things like that. So definitely, yeah, my man, like, we're just beautiful day, like the weather held out for us.
Like I said,
the plant didn't kill you too much.
No, I know.
It was alright. When it was blowing earlier, I was just like, oh man, this plant is looking kind of, it's got an agenda.
Like, have I still got the
I think we both have, man.
Yeah.
I think the
but
audience
you know
will
what?
Probably see.
It's a good thing, because obviously, like, this was all about mental health. You know, like, mental health was the main core theme, and like, you know, there's no better way to, you know, improve mental health than to be outdoors. To be one with nature.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even if it's blowing seeds in your hair.
That's the way it's meant to be.
That's it.
We weren't supposed to be in the way.
No, we weren't
supposed to be. This building wasn't supposed to be here. There's supposed to be trees and plants and stuff. So
we're learning to coexist.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
Like, we have.
So it's been good. Like, you know what I mean? Just like fresh air. You know what I mean? It's like it's just been powerful. It's been absolutely powerful.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. But yeah, it's a pleasure having my guy on here to come and break down some things in relation to, you know, diet, nutrition, and as I said, hopefully some of you guys can take away some of this stuff. And if you did. Feel free to share this with somebody who, you know, is maybe in this field, passionate about food, or is just looking to kind of make some changes. And you know, food is one area that can really make a lot of changes in your life, and as we talked about earlier. So yeah, again, man, pleasure to have you on, my bro.
It's always an honor. Always an honor, bro.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for tapping in and spending time. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will catch you on the next episode. Peace and love.